And speaking of political ads, earlier this week we talked about political ads and the fact that TV stations really cannot refuse them. Politicians can say pretty much whatever they want in those ads. We cannot censor them. Several of you did not like that and took us to task, urging us to dig in and become fact checkers on the ads. Eleanor wrote in to say, you could take a whole show or two and go over the facts claimed in multiple ads and what the truth is. You don't have to endorse anyone, just show whether they are telling the truth or misinforming. Fair enough, Eleanor, and everyone else who emailed or called. We are not going to use the entire show tonight, but we are going to start fact-checking ads beginning right now. The first ad we'll focus on involves the 5th Congressional District, where Democrat Jamie McLeod-Skinner is battling Republican Lori Chavez-Deremer. Tonight we'll focus on an ad targeting Chavez-Deremer. Monday night we'll look at one targeting McLeod-Skinner. You've probably seen this ad paid for by the campaign arm of congressional Democrats, which targets Chavez-Deremer's stance on abortion. The part that stood out to us involves her reaction to word that Roe v. Wade would be overturned.
And Lori Chavez-Deremer said she was, quote, encouraged by it.
Okay, so you heard that. The ad said she was encouraged by it. I checked to see if she actually had a tweet out there like that. Sure enough, she does indeed. So that claim is accurate. Let's take a look at the next part.
So encouraged, in fact, Chavez-Deremer wants to criminalize abortion at just 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
I checked into that claim as well, and it is also accurate. It's based off this story in the Statesman Journal newspaper, which asked candidates back in May for their response to the potential overturning of Roe v. Wade. Chavez-Deremer is quoted as saying, "I would be in favor of passing legislation like the heartbeat bill." She later tweeted out her newspaper statement and thanked the newspaper, the Statesman Journal. That term, by the way, heartbeat bill, is somewhat controversial. Pro-life supporters say a heartbeat can be detected at 6 weeks. Many in the medical world say that's nonsense, that it happens much later. Regardless, several states, including Idaho, have passed what they call heartbeat bills, and it prohibits abortion after 6 weeks. There's also a heartbeat bill that's been introduced in Congress, and that bill does not make exceptions for rape or incest. Okay, so for the key parts of the ad claiming that Chavez-Deremer supports severe restrictions on abortion, at least as of May, we find that to be true. Which is why it was so stunning that the candidate insisted yesterday during the taping of Straight Talk with Laurel Porter that she did not support that at all. Let's watch the beginning of the discussion. And by the way, watch the way the candidate pivots right off the bat, avoiding Laurel's specific question.
You have said you support the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade. If you're in Congress and it comes up for a vote, would you vote for a federal ban on abortion?
Yeah, this question has been asked to me so many times. I never want to see this on the floor of Congress. I think exactly where it came back to the states. I trust Oregonians to make this decision, and we know it's protected here in Oregon. I support access to abortion in the first trimester. That has never changed. Of course, for rape, incest, and the life of the mother is always should be protected. Criminalizing women is a non-starter, and a national ban is not something I ever want to see on the floor of Congress.
And you've said in debates that you...
That, my friends, is a professional level pivot. The question was, would you vote for a federal ban? The answer was, I never want to see that on the floor of Congress. That's not an answer, that is a pivot. But we're only just getting started. Watch this next exchange.
And you've said in debates that you support a common sense approach to abortion, but in May you tweeted that you support the heartbeat bill, which would trigger a ban on abortion at 6 weeks, which is a time when a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant. Do you stand by that support for the heartbeat bill?
Well, there was a conversation about what could this look like, you know, if we had to have this conversation. And I know that there's been conversation about the pain bill. There's been conversations about, you know, the 24-week when a baby cannot survive without the mom. There's all those conversations. I think the exact thing that should be right here in the hands of Oregonians, and that's where I would like to keep it and not have it on the floor of Congress.
Well, she certainly has her talking points down, doesn't she? That's a second really good pivot. But the question was, do you support a heartbeat bill? And the answer was, I don't want it on the floor of Congress. Now, something you may not know about my friend Laurel Porter, who is conducting the interview, she's the nicest, kindest, sweetest person that you're ever going to meet. But if you're trying to dodge her question, she is the kindest pit bull that you'll ever meet. Watch her pin down Chavez-Deremer.
I'm not quite understanding what you're saying, but would you support a heartbeat bill? Do you think that pregnancy or abortion should be banned after 6 weeks?
Yeah, I would not support a ban in Congress at all, a federal ban. I want Oregonians to have this decision. This is where I trust that.
But it ever came up in Oregon, would you support that?
A vote in Oregon from the legislator?
Well, would you ever support a ban on abortion at 6 weeks or after?
No, I think women should have access up until the first trimester.
All the way up till 12 weeks?
Yes, the first trimester.
So you changed your mind on what you tweeted?
No, I did not change my mind. I have always felt this way. That question was asked on a conversation about if this ever came to the floor of 6 weeks, what does the conversation look like?
I think we showed the tweet, though. I think you said support the bill, the heartbeat bill, in May, which would seem different than what you're saying now.
No, it's not different. My position has never changed, Laurel.
Just up to 12 weeks.
Oh, yes, I think women have asked that access. I trust women. I trust Oregonians to make that decision.
Well, let's jump to homelessness, because 35 years ago.
Oh, yeah, she was very eager to move on to anything else. Circling back to the beginning, was the ad accurate? Yes, it represents what Chavez-Deremer said last May. She might make the argument now that based on what she said to Laurel, it's no longer accurate, but then she would have to admit that she's changed her position, and it's clear she does not want to do that. Here's my opinion on this. One thing that people who hate politicians hate about them is the sense that they'll say anything in the moment to get support from people they're trying to reach. They hate that politicians seem to have no backbone, no moral fiber, no principles that they stick with, and no ability to tell the truth about what they really believe, even when it's not popular. Politicians, in my opinion, you can believe whatever you want, and you can change your mind as you learn more or you think things over. But what you cannot do is change your position and then pretend the new one is the position that you've always had. Because as we just demonstrated, it's really easy these days to fact check things. And when you are found out, you're going to lose some credibility. And voters wonder what other positions you've changed in the past or will change in the future. Okay, that's my take. Yours? What do you think? Send me an email. Our address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave me a message, 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you. All right, so we've learned that ads are not the best way to get educated about candidates, but what about the Trustee Voters Pamphlet? A lot of you told us that you do use that booklet to determine who to vote for and which measures to support. And by the way, this year's pamphlet comes out next week. Jan asked us earlier this week, if candidates don't have to tell the truth in their TV ads, what about in the voters pamphlet? Oh, that is a great question, Jan. Given the amount of misinformation and disinformation surrounding elections, we want to make one thing clear. Official information that's in that pamphlet, like instructions on when and how to vote, well, that stuff 100% accurate and you can trust it. There's no questioning about that. But let's talk about candidate statements. Are they fact-checked? The Elections Division says, no, not so much. They told us candidates are responsible for the statements they make in the voters pamphlet. In order to avoid subjectivity, the Elections Division does not edit them. However, it is illegal to lie about certain types of information. If you're a candidate, the Elections Division does verify basic information like the spelling of your name. They also verify your endorsements by checking with the endorsing organization. If it turns out you lied about an endorsement, the Elections Division will take that endorsement out of the statement. It's also illegal to lie about your occupation, your educational background, and government experience. So what's the bottom line? The voters pamphlet is another tool to help you figure out who to vote for. But keep in mind, candidate statements, just like political ads, they can include inaccuracies and false information. And again, it's worth repeating. Official information in the pamphlet, instructions on how and when and where to vote, that's 100% accurate and trustworthy.